Before we dive into this story, leave a comment and let us know what city you're watching from. And don't forget to rate the story from 0 to 10 at the end. The penthouse is silent on Christmas Eve. Not peaceful. Just empty. She stands near the massive windows, city lights glittering below like fallen stars. In her hands, a small box wrapped in drugstore paper. Her pulse hammers against her throat. 3 months of marriage. 3 months of perfect distance. He ends his call across the room, loosening his tie. When he turns, his expression shifts from neutral to confused. What is that? Her voice comes out smaller than intended. A Christmas gift. His jaw tightens. That wasn't in the contract. I know. The silence stretches. She remembers the day they met, sitting across from lawyers while her world collapsed around her. Hospital bills. Foreclosure notices. Her father's failing heart. Then he walked in. Tall, immaculate, untouchable. This is business, he'd said. Nothing more. She'd signed anyway. Survival has no pride. Now she crosses the marble floor, each step echoing. She places the box in his hands. He opens it slowly. Then freezes. His breath catches. His fingers, always so steady in boardrooms and negotiations, begin to tremble. How did you find this? His voice cracks on the last word. You mentioned it once. I remembered. He stares at the contents, a worn object she'd spent weeks tracking down. Something from his childhood. Something he thought was lost forever. For the first time since she met him, the powerful CEO looks human. Vulnerable. Raw. You shouldn't have done this. But his hands clutch the box like it's oxygen. She sees it then. The fracture in his armor. The man beneath the empire. Our agreement, he says, voice hollow. It changes nothing. But when his eyes meet hers, dark and burning with something neither of them can name, she knows he's lying. And so is she. Because this marriage of convenience just became dangerously inconvenient. He doesn't sleep that night. She knows because she hears him moving through the penthouse at 3 a.m., footsteps soft against marble. She finds him in his study, the gift box open on his desk. You should be asleep, he says without turning. So should you. He finally looks at her. In the darkness, without the armor of expensive suits and board meetings, he looks younger. Haunted. My brother gave this to me. His voice is raw. Before the accident. Before everything. She steps closer. I'm sorry. Don't. The word cuts sharp. Don't pity me. That's not what this is. Then what is this? The question hangs between them like smoke. He stands, closing the distance until she can smell his cologne, feel his warmth. You're breaking the rules. So are you. Her heart pounds. Right now. His hand lifts, hesitates an inch from her face. Then drops. I can't, he whispers. I built everything by not feeling. By not needing. If I let you in and you leave, it will destroy me. The confession splits him open. I'm not going anywhere, she breathes. Not unless you send me away. He laughs, bitter and broken. You don't know what you're saying. You don't know what I've done. What I'm capable of. Then tell me. But before he can answer, his phone erupts with calls. Emergency. The company. A hostile takeover launched at dawn while he was distracted. His expression shudders instantly, the CEO mask slamming back into place. This conversation never happened. He grabs his jacket. Stay here. Don't leave the penthouse. Wait, what's going on? He stops at the door, looks back once. I'm protecting my empire. Even if it costs me everything else. Then he's gone. And she's left holding the truth, she's not part of his everything. She's just the contract. She finds the documents 3 days later. He's been gone constantly, fighting the takeover. Meetings. Lawyers. War conducted in boardrooms. She wasn't snooping. Just looking for aspirin in his study. But the folder is labeled with her father's name. Her hands shake as she opens it. Medical records. Financial statements. And a report dated 2 months before their marriage. Subject's father's condition is terminal but treatable with experimental procedure. Cost, $2.3 million. Subject is desperate. Recommended approach, marriage contract. Subject will agree to any terms. The folder slips from her numb fingers. He knew. Before they met, before the lawyers, before everything, he knew exactly how desperate she was. This wasn't convenience. It was calculation. The door opens behind her. You weren't supposed to see that. His voice is flat. She whirls. You researched me. You planned this. All of it. Yes. No denial. No apology. Why? Her voice cracks. Why me? He steps closer, and she sees something dangerous in his eyes. Because you were perfect. Beautiful enough for appearances. Desperate enough to stay quiet. Isolated enough that no one would ask questions. Each word is a knife. And the gift? Tears blur her vision. Last week, when you looked at me like I mattered? I'm very good at what I do. His expression is carved from ice. I needed you compliant during the merger. Emotional investment ensures loyalty. She slaps him. The sound cracks through the study. He doesn't flinch. Just touches his reddening cheek, something flickering behind his eyes. I want out. Her voice steadies with fury. The contract. I'm done. Read clause 17. He turns away. You leave, your father's treatment stops immediately. And I'll make sure no hospital in this country touches his case. You wouldn't. He looks back, and she doesn't recognize him anymore. I'm a billionaire CEO. I would do anything to win. She runs. Out of the study, down the hall, vision swimming. Behind her, she doesn't see him collapse against his desk, chest heaving, or hear him whisper into the empty room. Forgive me. She doesn't speak to him for a week. He doesn't try to make her. But on day 8, his assistant arrives with urgent news. The hostile takeover succeeded. He lost. Everything. The company. The fortune. The empire he built from ashes. She finds him in the penthouse, staring at the city he used to own. They're seizing assets tomorrow, he says quietly. Including this place. Including the medical fund. Her heart stops. My father. I'm sorry. 2 words. Worthless now. She should hate him. She does hate him. But when she looks at his destroyed expression, she sees the truth he's been hiding. You let them win. The realization hits like lightning. You had a countermove. I heard you on the phone last week. You had a way out. His silence confirms it. Why? She demands. Why would you sacrifice everything? He finally turns. Because my countermove required exposing your father's medical history. Making it public. Using it for sympathy, for leverage. His voice breaks. I couldn't do it. Not to you. Not after what I've already done. You're lying. You don't care about me. I'm in love with you. The confession explodes between them. I have been since you handed me that gift. Maybe before. And it terrified me so completely that I tried to destroy it. Destroy us. She can't breathe. I thought if I hurt you first, if I made you hate me, I'd be safe. He steps closer. But I'm not safe. I'm ruined. And not because I lost the company. Because I lost you. Tears stream down her face. How do I believe anything you say? You don't. He reaches into his jacket, pulls out papers. These are the original contract documents. And my confession, signed and notarized. How I manipulated you, how I planned everything. If you release them, I'll be destroyed legally, financially, publicly. Take them. I won't stop you. She stares at the papers. Her vengeance. Her freedom. There's one more thing. He crosses to his desk, retrieves a check. This is everything I have left. It's enough for your father's treatment. Complete treatment. Take it. Why would you give me this? Because love isn't a contract. His eyes glisten. It's a choice. And I choose you. Even if you never choose me back. She looks at the papers in one hand. The check in the other. Everything she needs to save her father and destroy the man who destroyed her. Or save them both. She walks to the fireplace. The papers crackle as flames consume them. His confession. Her weapon. Gone. He watches, stunned. What are you doing? Making a choice. She turns to him. Not because I forgive you. Not because this is okay. But because I understand something now. What? You manipulated me because you were terrified of being vulnerable. Because everyone you ever loved left you. Your brother. Your parents. You built walls so high that you forgot how to climb down. His throat works. That doesn't excuse what I did. No. It doesn't. She steps closer. But I'm not here because of excuses. I'm here because when you finally had to choose between your empire and my well-being, you chose me. Even knowing I might destroy you for it. You should destroy me. I know. Her hand finds his face, thumb tracing his jaw. But I'm choosing something else. Something terrifying and stupid and real. What's that? Us. The word trembles between them. The actual us. Not the contract. Not the performance. The broken, messy, complicated truth of us. He closes his eyes. I don't deserve this. Probably not. But love isn't about deserving. It's about choosing someone even when it's hard. Even when they've hurt you. Even when it makes no logical sense. I love you. His voice breaks completely. God, I love you so much it scares me. I know. She rises on her toes. I love you too. Even though I don't want to. Even though you made it so damn hard. Their lips meet like confession and forgiveness, desperation and hope tangled together. When they break apart, he asks, what happens now? Now? She glances at the check still on the desk. You save my father. I help you rebuild. And we figure out how to be married for real. Without contracts. Without rules. Just two broken people trying to be whole. That simple? That complicated? She smiles through tears. But I've learned something. The best things in life aren't convenient. They're earned. He pulls her close, breathing her in like oxygen. Outside, dawn breaks over the city. Gold light spills through windows, touching them both. A new beginning. Not perfect. Not easy. But real. And sometimes, real is the only thing worth fighting for. 6 months later, they stand in the same penthouse, now truly theirs. Not because a contract says so, but because they chose it. Her father is in remission. His company is rebuilding, smaller but stronger. And between them, no walls remain. Just two people who learn that the most powerful thing you can do isn't protect your heart. It's risk it for someone worth losing everything for. He hands her a small box. Christmas again. She opens it to find a new ring. Not the contract wedding band. Something real. Marry me, he says. Again. For love this time. She doesn't hesitate. Yes. And in that moment, surrounded by city lights and second chances, they both understand what they've built. Not a perfect love story. But a true one. The end. What city are you watching from? Rate this story from 0 to 10 in the comments below.